and welcome to Logan Sounds Off, where I talk about books, music, and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Logan Kelly. Hello, and welcome back to Logan Sounds Off. Today I am reviewing the book Hollow City, which is the second novel of Miss Peregrines Peculiar Children. And I actually reviewed the first novel in this series, which is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And this actually was a very peculiar book. The author, Ransom Riggs, he likes to write a story but also add pictures with it as well. Actual pictures that have been taken, but they look incredible and they haven't been photoshopped, which is also very, very weird. But the praise for the first book is incredible, and the praise for the second book is amazing as well. I'm just opening it up myself now, because of the artistry in it. It's amazing the way it's been printed. It was first written in 2014 by Ransom Riggs, and it was the excerpt for the next book, obviously, in the book was 2015, stuff like that, and the copyrights were for the Q&A was all 2015. But the first paperback edition of this was 2015, originally published though in 2014. This is a very, very good book though, very interesting but very weird as well. It can be creepy for some people. I do have to give a warning if you're not into creepy books that are a bit weird, very different, not mainstream. I would advise not reading this series, because this is as far as you can go. The movie, though, is traumatizing. From what I've heard, it's very good, but very weird as well. But no, that doesn't ruin the book. I'll read the blurb to you now, and you'll see what I mean. September 3rd, 1940. 10 peculiar children flee an army of deadly monsters, and only one person can help them, but she's trapped in the body of a bird. The extraordinary journey that began in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children continues as Jacob Portman and his newfound friends journey to London, the peculiar capital of the world. There, they hope to find a cure for their beloved headmistress, Miss Peregrine. But in this war-torn city, hideous surprises lurk around every corner. And before Jacob can deliver the peculiar children to safety, he must make an important decision about his love for Emma Bloom. Like its predecessor, this second novel in the Peculiar Children series blends thrilling fantasy with vintage photography to create a one-of-a-kind reading experience. So Ransom Riggs actually grew up in Florida, but now he makes his home in the land of peculiar children, which is actually LA. And he was raised, to quote his own words, he was raised on a steady diet of ghost stories and British comedy, which probably explains the novels he writes. If you want to follow him, you can find him on Twitter at Ransom Riggs. There was a lot of praise for this novel, a lot of praise for the past novel. It's really, really good, very weird, as I've been saying before. But no, apart from that, it's a very good read. First of all, it follows on greatly from the first book. It goes straight from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children straight on to Hollow City. It works perfectly. It has some great twists, which I like. There's been some great plot twists in the series. There's been a lot of changes to the book. Ransom Riggs was actually saying he changed it a lot. But he actually talks about a lot of things at the end of it in his Q&A, and I think that's very interesting that they actually put a Q&A there. But you have to be really invested in the universe of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. You need to be very invested to kind of understand it, because it takes a lot of time. Like, I'm flicking through the book here. It's a very odd book to try and to understand. And he actually says that the photos came first, and for the first book, and the process was very different for the next book, which is very, very, very which is very cool. Were there any instances somebody asked him that you had multiple perfect photographs? And I think that's actually a very interesting question because there were so many different photographs in this book. And he had one of the challenges of searching for a photo to fit the scene that he'd already written was that there was often no perfect photo for him, which again very difficult. So as you can see, he put a lot of effort into this. You can tell its quirkiness because literally the front cover is a girl, but there's a hole in her, like not a creepy, weird, mangly hole, just a circle. You can just see through a hole. It's very weird. So peculiar children are basically kind of like magical children. For example, one of the characters, Millard, he literally is invisible. He started turning invisible, and now the past 100 years, he's been invisible. Now, it's also involved a lot with loops, which you'll hear throughout the book. And loops are like you're stuck in the same day, and once the day ends, it goes back to the start. It's very interesting. So Jacob Portman is the main character, and he can see hologhast, which are monsters in this book. Emma Bloom can make fire. Abraham Portman, Jacob's grandfather, was killed by a hologhast. Bronwyn Bruntley is an unusually strong girl. Olive was a girl who is lighter than air. Horace is a boy who suffers from premonitory visions and dreams. Enoch, my least favourite character, he is very moany, is a boy who can animate the dead for brief periods of time, which is creepy. Hugh, a boy who commands and protects the many bees that live in his stomach. That is just cool. Claire, a girl with an extra mouth in the back of her head, and the youngest of all Miss Peregrines Peculiar Children. Fiona, a silent girl with a peculiar talent of making plants grow. Alma Lee Faye Peregrine. How do you pronounce this? Yumbrun. And she's a shapeshifter, manipulator of time, headmistress of Cairn Holmes loop, and arrested in bird form. So basically, she is in charge of that loop. And that's a weird part of the story, that she can manage that loop. And also, she's in the body of a bird. She can turn into a bird. Like, that's what I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's what they can do. But she's now trapped in it because of what happened with the Hollows in the first book, which you'll have to read the first book. And Esmeralda Advocate, a person, I'm going to address her as a person whose loop was raided by the corrupted and kidnapped by whites. Then you've got Franklin Portman, Jacob's father, Marianne Portman, Jacob's mother, Ricky Pickering, Jacob's only normal friend, jeez. Dr. Golan, I'm not even going to talk about him. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson, essayist, lecturer, poet. Dr. Golan is probably one of the creepiest people in the whole story. Not like in a scary way creepy, but just, I hate the whole idea of it. I hate the whole concept of his character. He's a psychiatrist who is a white, who pretends to be a psychiatrist and lures Jacob in. And Jacob kills him, which is lovely for some people. But no, whites are like these monsters with white eyes. It's just, I could be sitting here for hours discussing this book. You would not be here for hours, I can tell you that. But it's a very, very odd book because of the amount of things. Like, I was reading to you a couple of the characters there of the book. There are an incredible amount of characters in this book. And it's the #1 New York Times bestseller. I know we see bestseller a lot on things. We're just going here. All the books that I have right next to me are bestsellers. This deserves the title of bestseller. I really love this. Brilliant book. And I can't wait to get cracking on the other six books in this series. Wouldn't mind, even they're like 400 pages, which is pretty small in comparison to some other books. This book is hard to get through. You need to be in the right space of mind to get through Ransom Riggs' Hollow City. But no, I'm going to rate this a 5-star. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's so weird and peculiar, and Ransom Riggs went along with it. And that's what I love about this. If you like this book review, you should definitely check out some other book reviews that I've done, and I'm pretty sure I've done also a book review on Miss Peregrines Home for Peculiar Children as well. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Logan Sounds Off. You can follow me on X, Facebook and Instagram at Logan Sounds Off. And don't forget to subscribe and not miss any more cool episodes. Bye guys!